It's time for Two Guys and a Goalie with Dustin Nielsen, Matt Cassian, and the goalie, Joaquin Gate.
Hello, everyone. Happy Thursday, and welcome to another episode of Two Guys and a Goalie. Nielsen, Cass, engage with you. Brought to you by our wonderful partners at CoolBet. If you're not yet signed up for an account at CoolBet, use the code 2GUYS, the number 2 in the word guys, when you do sign up. We're going to continue with our franchise 32, and I know for sure we got 2 or 3 really good debates coming. Cass is already shaking his head, but we do have some legitimate hockey news to get to. Kyler Yamamoto getting a 2-year, $3.1 million deal, 6.2 over the 2 years. Gager, that's another check mark off the to-do list for Ken Holland this offseason. I mean, I think it's pretty basic. We kind of thought he'd come in around 3, probably get more than 1 year. Anything about this stand out to you?
Not particularly, Dusty. I think it's if it's a comparable contract for a player of his stature, I guess, within the league. So nice to see Ken Holland keep this kind of core group together. They've gelled. We see them back east at the golf tournament. Seems like a well close-knit group. So adding Kyler, who by all accounts was well liked and extremely liked by the big two to play with. So good for Ken Holland to keep that room together. I think that's a big part of moving forward with some of the things that he's been able to do this summer.
Cass, I mean, if he gives you 20 goals again and 40 or 45 points, 3.1 mil is pretty good for a couple of years, right?
Really good. 20-goal player. And where else are you just going to be able to go out and get a 20-goal guy and replace that? You're not. You have him in-house. He's well-liked. He fits in with your group. Works really hard. Positionally, I still think is one of the best players in the team. So just he very, very rarely is he caught out of position. Very, very rarely have I seen him be, let's call it grade A at fault. Like where if something bad happens, it's primarily because of something that he did. Very rarely. Doesn't make a lot of mistakes in the defensive zone. Very responsible. To me, I mean, it's where we figured he would be. But a healthy number for, again, a guy that's going to give you 20 goals. I would think that if he plays like he's capable of playing for the next 2 seasons, that he is going to be due a hefty price increase. Again, because he could be a consistent 20-goal guy, and guys that are consistent 20-goal guys generally go for more than 3.1.
Justy, I think, well, Cass, maybe you can talk to this too a little bit, but I feel like with Kyler this year, I would say around halfway through the season, he went from a pro player, like a NHL, to a guy that it's hard for me to describe, but just trying to stay into the lineup, to a guy that seemed like I'm supposed to be in the lineup each and every night. Like I'm trying to think of guys that I played with, and name comes to mind was Dan Cleary, where I played with him in the minors a little bit, and he was a top first round player, and they were just waiting for that kind of next evolution of him to come. And the next time I saw Seabear, he knew he was supposed to be in the NHL at that point. And I think we've seen that with Kyler, where he's an established NHLer now. He knows where how he can play, what his potential should be. And he just looks like a way much more confident player on the ice, which I wish I was.
Fair assessment, Cass? I think that's pretty good breakdown.
I think that's pretty fair.
Yeah.
I think that's pretty fair. I mean, I don't know if I think he thought he didn't belong, or he was playing like he didn't belong, but playing like he belonged in the top 6. Like playing like he deserved to play good, healthy minutes. I would agree with that. And that he just, I don't know if it become comfortable, maybe confidence, maybe they're the same thing. But he really established himself is that guy. So yeah, I would agree with you. Good assessment, Gager.
You mentioned the, like if he puts together, let's say over the next 2 years on this deal, it's 22 goals and 23 goals or something. Cass, do you think he ever gets into that level of being like a $6 million guy? Or is he kind of settling in that 4.5 to 5.5 range for most of his career? Like,
depend. I mean, if it's over 20 or is it over 25? Like if he puts up over 25 the next 2 years, each year.
That'd be close.
I mean, that's creeping
Yeah.
into $5 to $6 million territory for a guy that consistently puts up 25 goals, which is it's possible that he does. Now the thing that goes or that will be challenging for him is PP time, because most of his goals are going to be either 5-on-5 or second unit power play, which, as we know, with the Oilers, doesn't see a ton of time. Or if a guy's injured, he'll get a chance, but he's not going to always be on the power play, which could be challenging. Not always. He will get some time there, but yeah, I mean, he's got potential still to be a $5 million guy. Most likely going to be that $4 to $5 million, but it is possible he gets to that 5 to 6. I mean, I hope for his sake that he does. That'd be awesome. It means he's scored a lot of goals.
Gager, where do you think he's best suited? Next to Draisaitl or McDavid and Kane? Assuming McDavid and Kane are together to start the year, like everybody. I mean, that would just make sense. So, where do you like him?
I don't know. I think I have to go back to Cass's nudie line. I like him with Draisaitl. I think they work quite well together. I think they have a little bit more chemistry than not that him and Connor don't, but I just think there's something there with Leon that we've seen in the past, and he could get to that, like you guys said, he could get to that number a lot quicker. I look to him as one of those guys that's going to have one of those unsung hero type playoffs at some point, and if he goes off in the playoffs, and drinks some Pisani juice and gets going, he becomes a $6 million player overnight.
Man, how did Pisani never market Pisani juice? Like he could have made millions from 2007 to 2012. You know what I mean? Like Pisani juice. Yeah, that'd be good. I like that.
I've brought it up to him, but he doesn't know. Yeah. Go away.
Cass, was that your youngest?
That was my youngest. Yeah,
that's your littlest now. Hey, holy smokes!
I know, she's big. Yeah. She's big at 2. No, my wife is down visiting family in Texas, and her best. So
are you running all 3 right now?
So I'm running all 3, and
you're a hero, buddy.
Yeah, my parents have been watching them most days while I go into work, and today they just weren't able to. So I'm doing this and working from home with a couple kids running around, which isn't always ideal for work, but it's still lots of fun. So yeah, she's a little sweetie.
All right. Well, speaking of kids, we got a couple popping up on the Franchise 32 today. And if you missed the last episode, it broke down like this. Jason Robertson was at 32. Matt Barzal was 31. Suzuki was 30. Zegras was 29. Ekblad was 28. Quinn Hughes was 27. And Elias Pettersson was 26. And it was a good enough discussion that we decided to do the next 5 and then 5 after that, take us through August as we give you the top 32 players that we want to start a franchise with today in the National Hockey League. And today we've got Kucherov at 21, Roman Josi at 22, Kyle Connor at 23, Rasmus Dahlin at 24, and Owen Power at 25. And I can see Gager's face with Owen Power there. But Cass, you were pretty high on Owen Power. So I'll turn it over to you for your Owen Power discussion here.
How do we have him at 25? Like, Gager, did you have him higher or lower?
That would be on the next year's list when I can see this guy play at the NHL level.
Yeah, I had him, so I had him high. I think I had him at number, what did I have him, number 10?
You had him pretty high, yeah.
I had him at number 10. So I had him pretty high, very, very high, which is taking a little bit of a flyer. This to me would be it's a little bit of a gamble, but a guy that potentially is a game-changing defenseman. So I get if you guys had him lower on the list. I don't get not having him on the list at all. Like, he's pretty legit, and he's an NHL style defenseman. Like, it's not like he's a little skill guy where you're like, will this game translate or will it not translate? Like, he's got all the tools, and he has shown at high levels that he can perform. So to me, I have him higher on my list. I guess I could take criticism from you, Gager, on this. I mean, I would just let it just brush it.
I think I had him at 27.
Off.
Like, he's the first overall defenseman that they expect to be a franchise guy, right? Like, if he's not on this list next year when we do it, I would be very concerned if I was the Buffalo Sabres. I know it's, young defenseman and everything like that, but when you're talking about building a franchise, yeah, Cass had him high, I had him at 27. And Gager, I mean, you got to see him first before you can figure out exactly what you got.
Yeah, I mean, we all saw how great he was at that little glimpse in the World Juniors, but yeah, I can't. All the things are pointing upward, but still, I got to see this guy play a little bit more before I start my franchise, and that's partly on me, maybe because I haven't watched him play that much. But that's tough. That's taken. Yeah, I can't do it. Can't do it.
Okay, well, I mean, it's an interesting conversation here. He's only played 8 games so far with the Buffalo Sabres. But there's another defenseman that they drafted first overall in 2018 who's played 277 career games, 160 points, 44 points as a rookie, 40 points in 59 games in 1920, 23 points in 56 games in 2021, and then 53 points in 80 games this past year on a bad team. Last year he was minus 36. This past year he was minus 22. But when you do watch him play, I mean, he's 6'3", moves extremely well. He's insanely slick with the puck. Let me see. I'm looking where I had him on my list. I had him 21st on my list. I think Cass might have had him. Somebody have him a little bit higher.
I had him 13th.
You had him 13th, so you did have him a little bit higher. Gager, was he not on your list?
Nope.
Boy, you do not believe in what the Sabres are doing on the back end, hey?
No. I'm interested to see what them both together. I'll say that as a caveat. Like, that's quite interesting to me. But I just the games that I've played, and maybe it's just because it's Buffalo, Dusty, but there's a lot of plays where I see him out just completely out to lunch, and maybe it's just because that team sucked for so long. I just have trouble looking at his stats and plus minus, and I have trouble because there was so much hype of him being the first overall pick and changing the franchise around, and having Eichel and him both there. I have a tough time. I think he's where he should be, I guess, but I think there's a lot better players that you could start your franchise around.
He's just 22, and he'll be 22 for this entire season. I think, Gager, you make some good points. Like, I've watched him at times. I've been like, holy smokes, look at this guy. And then I've also been like, oh, holy smokes, look at this guy. So, I mean, but I get sucked in by the starting a franchise, the raw tools there, Cass. Like, once it clicks and he figures it out, the risk and reward type of thing. I think there's like a 65-point top pair D-man there eventually.
Yep. And that's what I see, is that there's a guy that can play 30 minutes a night if need be, play 25 minutes a night if need be. And maybe he's not quite all the way there today, but if I'm going to build, and I'm building it for like 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, and if you build the team around him, if you actually get a good forward group, and Jack Eichel's got Jack Eichel issues, he didn't want to be in Buffalo. We all saw how everything was handled, injury issues as well. Buffalo's had a terrible team. If they can actually build around this guy, and I mean, they have Owen Power too now, who I also had high on the list. So they have 2 guys that could be franchise or are franchise defensemen. And like, they both shoot left, and you're going to have, it turns into a situation where, I mean, it's not like Pronger Niedermeyer, but it's like, you're going to have one of those guys in the playoffs on the ice at all times. And for a building a franchise and putting together a winning team, if you can get them support, if you can get some good forwards and build it out from there, I mean, they got potential to be a fantastic group. And I look at what he is capable of doing, and I look at the tools there, and I look at his age, and I'm like, okay, he's still developing. He's still learning. He's still growing. I mean,
and he's been doing it on a shitty team,
on a horrible team
either, right? Like, so,
he's already got 277 NHL games played at his age. So he's going to have a lot of experience. Like, I don't know. I value that quite highly. And if I'm starting a new team, I mean, again, like, maybe he's in the right place on this list overall, but I would take him earlier than 24th.
Well, He's probably going to pull the same Eichel thing after that cross check from Matthews with the neck issues, so he'll probably be out of there soon.
Everybody finds a way out, I guess, when it's all said and done. All right, so let's flip the script here a little bit. Let's go to the forwards, and Kyle Connor comes in at 23 on this list. On the strength of Gager, who had him in the mid-teens, I think I had him right around this area, maybe a little bit closer. Let me double check. I had Kyle Connor late 20s, maybe even actually right at 30 or 31. And then, Cass, I don't think you had him on the list. So, Gager, What do you like the most about Kyle Connor?
He's got McDavid-type speed and scoring ability. That's on a winger. That's what you need in someone you're starting your franchise around. It's just deadly skilled with speed. We saw it in the playoff series against Edmonton, the way he was flying down the wing, and unbelievable shot. I thought he's a great player. I love watching him play in Winnipeg. I have all the time in the world for that guy. He scores, and just his goal scoring ability. Like this guy, it'd be tough to say this year, but I thought if you were to ask me at the beginning of the year, I thought he would get close to 50 with what we thought Winnipeg could
Well, he
do.
got 47.
Yeah. I thought he'd get 50. Yeah, like it's just it's tough to say. That'd be a good cool bet thing. I would take him getting 50 this year, just the way the league's going.
I will say he put together a very quiet 93-point season, considering what was happening with the Jets, which is one of the when I put together a list, you get to the end, right, and you got like six, 7 guys, and maybe want 2 or 3 spots. And Connor had been like pretty much a point per game guy the 2 years prior. He's been a 30-goal guy since the moment he stepped on the ice in the National Hockey League. And then this year, with all the stuff going on there and the issues in the room and this and that, and the coach leaving, he just went out and produced 47 goals, 46 assists. Cass, I'm interested to see why you don't have him on your list.
He's a winger.
Okay. So if you're starting a franchise, you're not going to put many
How many
wingers in there?
do I have on my list?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. One,
Actually,
two,
that's a
maybe.
good point. I'm just looking quickly. I mean, you got Panarin on there. And a lot of centers. Yeah.
A lot of centers.
Kaprizov, I guess he's next level, but
yeah, Kaprizov as well. He'd be
you're
another
right.
guy.
You don't have many wingers on there. That's true.
Don't have very many wingers on there. And again, just if I'm starting a franchise, I'm not starting from the sides. I'm either starting from the back end typically or center. And that it's not to knock him as a player. He's a fantastic player. And
he is.
Again, I think I was in a similar situation to you, Dusty, is like he those last couple spots is like, does he go? Does he not go? I was like, well, maybe I'd take a Miller in terms of play style over top of him, but he does put up a lot of goals. So could he fit there? Yes, absolutely. But I ultimately left him off because he's a winger. That was my deciding factor. I want a guy, if I'm starting my franchise, typically to be a center. Now, when we get to Panarin, if he's on the list, if you guys
that's a fair explanation.
Yeah,
and
that was my justification for it.
We're gonna have a great episode after it all of the things that really pissed us off, because there's one guy that I had on both of my lists that I thought for certain would be on our final, and it's not, and it drives me crazy. And there's gonna be a few for all of us, I think. This next guy is gonna be very interesting, because Roman Yossi's at 22, and if it wasn't for Cass, he wouldn't even be on this list.
Are
Cass,
you
had
kidding
him at number
me?
5.
You kidding me, you guys?
It's too old.
Yeah, right now, if you told me you're starting a franchise today and you can start it with Roman Josi or Owen Power, I think I'd probably take Owen Power just because he's 10 years younger. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, it's downhill from here, unfortunately, for Roman Josi. One of the most attractive people on the planet, but that's just
he is a handsome man, isn't he?
A very,
Holy
very
smokes.
handsome man. Jesus,
This is where I weighed like the win today versus like win in 7 or 8 years. Like if I'm trying to get a franchise and I'm trying to start it off with a bang and I'm trying to win in the next 3 to 4 to 5 years, Vegas style, I'm taking Roman Josi. Like, did you not see how he single-handedly carried Nashville all year long? I still think it's insanity. It's insane. And I understand Matthew's getting the Hart, but to me, it's insane. It was my clear-cut number 1 for the Hart Trophy this year. Clear-cut. as a defenseman.
They always say they try to justify it by, this is the meaning of it. But let's be honest. If you actually were giving it to the league's most valuable player, Roman Josi.
Roman Josi.
Sorry, Edmonton. Sorry, Toronto. Roman Josi probably was the most valuable player to the team.
And I understand there's an age thing, but he, from a play style standpoint, he's such a good skater. He hasn't had major injury issues. Like he's going to be able to continue to control the game for another 5 to 6 years. So maybe I'm being short-sighted if I'm starting a franchise to this, but if I got the itch, like, you know what, I want us to be good, and I want us to be good fast, and I want us to win quickly and to have a chance to win a cup in the next 4 years, 5 years, Roman Josi is way up high on my list. Like, the guy is like, if you guys, and he most likely is going to be on here because I can't imagine him not being on the list. Like, if you guys have Victor Hedman on your list and you didn't have Roman Josi on your list,
that's a fair
you're
point.
insane. You're insane. Because it's like also same thing. Oh, he's an old. You're going to tell me you're going to go to Hedman and be like, oh, he's an old guy. Like, he's too old to be on my list. If that so much as comes out of your guys' mouth about Roman Josi, and then you guys both have Hedman on your list at all, hypocrites. Absolute hypocrites.
I never thought about that, and I'll just say this. We won't be talking about Hedman for a couple of episodes.
Exactly. So how can you have, if you have Hedman anywhere in your top 15?
Yossi's only a year older, so yeah, maybe I overlooked that a little bit.
I think
maybe
you guys,
I'll say this. I'm not opposed to where my Josi view is. Maybe I was still a little too high on Victor Hedman, considering he's 31 years old. I'll say
there
that.
you go.
When we get to Hedman, we'll talk about it.
Maybe we could have that. So you guys aren't total hypocrites. But
yeah. Yeah, when I saw him come in at 5 on your list, I was like, holy shit, Cass is all over this. And Gage, you said, I mean, I guess it kind of comes down to, if you are starting a franchise today, I mean, do you want to go the Vegas route and try to win immediately? Or do you want to do what Seattle did and have a horrible expansion draft and hope things go better as you develop guys?
When I look at and I'm trying to think if Hedman hadn't won these Norrises and these Stanley Cups and these Conn Smythes, I don't know. Maybe I would have had him off that list, but I think starting a franchise, he's way more important just because he's done all of this and gone through it and been a champion. And I think
he's been a winner. That's true.
When I look at guys, I'm going to start a franchise, I want them 4 or 5 years. I want them 8, 9. You know, this is face of my franchise for the next, almost decade. So, and I just don't see Roman Josi. I see his play deteriorating and going back to Bern, Switzerland and munching on some chocolate with that probably a chocolate model.
Yeah, he's got a good future. I mean, he's great now, but his life is going to be very extravagant the rest of the way. So Roman Josi, 22, and there aren't a lot of guys in that 29 to 32, 33 range that made this list. The ones who did, a lot of them were winners, like Nikita Kucherov, who comes in at 21 on the list. I'm just trying to see here. Cass, he was on your list. Gager, I don't think you had him on your list. And I actually, I had him. I think I had him the highest. I had him at 19, and he ends up here at 21. I just think he's a phenomenal talent. Like, there's so many guys right now in the National Hockey League who haven't been a point per game for their entire career. He has. I mean, he's well over a point per game for his career. You just see the difference. Tampa's a really good team with him. They're a great team. Or they're really good without him. They're a great team with Nikita Kucherov. So, I mean, now that I look at it, I sit here, though, and I go, if I want to start a franchise today, am I taking 25-year-old Kyle Connor or 29-year-old Nikita Kucherov? And I might, if somebody put a gun to my head, actually say Kyle Connor. But, Cash, you had Kucherov on your list, so dive into that for us.
I think I had him. Let me just double check. I had him at 23. I had him at 23.
Okay, so not far off. We were right around there.
Yeah, pretty right in that range. The reasons he was lower on the list is because of age and injury issues. But he is, as you said, a guy that puts up point a game. He's still capable of putting up over 100 points. And similar to the Roman Josi, when I looked at this, and he is a winger, which brought him down again. So age and winger dropped him down on the list for me, and injury issues But I would be hard pressed not. He's been so good, and I think he will continue to be good for the next couple of years. Where I was hard pressed not to have him on there. I hummed and hawed about having him a little bit lower on this than I did, but I don't know. I for whatever reason I was just like, he kind of slots in here when I looked at the names that I had just before him and just after him. But guy that I think deserves to be on the list in that kind of bottom third of it. So I'm not upset with where he slotted in here.
Gage, too old for you or what?
Yeah, Russian Gage just didn't like the age on him. He was, great player, but just seeing some of the wear and tear on him. And I mean, he did play unbelievable in the playoffs and kind of carried Tampa for a while, but he is insulated by a lot of other great players, not taking anything away from him. But again, the age, I don't think I would like a player of his caliber longer. That's why I have Connor way ahead of him. Well, the Cooch didn't even make the list. So for me,
the Tampa Bay Lightning have been the best team in the National Hockey League, have gone on 3 deep playoff runs, and he has led them in points every single time. Like I think because he's been banged up over the last 2-3 years, you don't realize that he's still one of the top 5 or 6 forwards in the entire National Hockey League when he's healthy. So that's kind of why I almost out of respect had him on this list. But like I said, I mean, if you can take Owen Power and build your team around a franchise defenseman moving forward, or Kucherov, I think that's a very interesting debate, and kind of comes down to probably your philosophy on how you want to build a
maybe
team.
Our next list should be who we want on LTIR for the entire season and have in playoffs. I mean, he's number 1.
Okay, so takes us up to 21. I'm just kind of looking ahead here, 20 through 15 or 20 through 16. A goalie will finally make the list. We'll get into that. I think there's only 3 on the entire list. One of them will slot in next. A Toronto Maple Leaf pops up on the list next time we meet. So there's going to be a lot. Oh, the Cass is looking. He's like, who's this Maple Leaf?
I'm like, who's this Maple Leaf on here?
I know. I could tell by your
my
face.
list. I'm like, I think I know who it is.
He's on your list.
I don't think
he's on your list.
Is he on my list?
Yeah, he's on your list.
Okay, then I know who it is. Okay.
He is a guy. I think most of the guys moving forward, I could be wrong. There might be 1 or 2, but I think most of them moving forward were on all of our lists. But yeah. No,
I know who it is. I probably had him lower than you guys did based on him being in this part of the list. But yeah.
We're going to have issues because if any of these guys that I have from 25 to 21 here are lower, that's just wrong.
Gage, I'm looking at your list right now, and we'll just wrap up the episode with this. From 24 to 20 on your list, only one of them made the end list. So we've got lots of good yelling going on coming up.
Me?
I'm serious, buddy. Yeah.
Holy
yeah.
smokes.
Yeah. So it's only going to get better. Yeah, Franchise 32 will continue next week. Boys, thanks for the time once again. Thanks to CoolBet for hopping on and sponsoring 2 Guys and a Goalie for the last few years. We appreciate their partnership. Oh, and we got some new swag coming. They got like some white branded swag, so it's just like the White Bear and CoolBet. So that'll be coming, and we'll have some extra stuff to give away to some listeners and viewers as well. So for Walking Gage and Matt Cassian, oh man, the top 20 for Gager. If these guys aren't on the list, I'm like 4 of them aren't even on the list. So
holy smokes.
Yeah. It's getting better. Top 20 still to come on our Franchise 32. Enjoy your weekend, boys, and we'll talk again soon.
Building a team like Ferrari.